Welcome TimeBeat Breaking News channel. Here are our breaking news today. 1. U.S. Supreme Court to weigh reinstating Boston Marathon bomber's death sentence. 2. Pedestrian death rate rose despite fewer miles driven during pandemic in 2020.
U.S. Supreme Court to weigh reinstating Boston Marathon bomber's death sentence. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday agreed to consider the U.S. Justice Department's bid to reinstate Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev's death sentence for helping carry out the 2013 attack that killed 3 people and wounded more than 260 others. The department's appeal, filed before former President Donald Trump left office in January, challenged a lower court's decision ordering a new trial over the sentence Tsarnaev should receive for the death penalty-eligible crimes for which he was convicted. President Joe Biden's administration has given no indication it plans to reverse the Trump administration's approach to the case, as it has done in several other cases pending at the court. Jurors in 2015 found Tsarnaev guilty of all 30 counts he faced and later determined he deserved execution for a bomb he planted that killed Martin Richard, 8, and Chinese exchange student Lingzi Liu, 23. Restaurant manager Crystal Campbell, 29, was also killed. The Boston-based First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that the trial judge fell short in screening jurors for potential bias following pervasive news coverage of the bombings. Prosecutors said that if the ruling stands, it would have to retry the death penalty phase of the case, and victims will have to once again take the stand to describe the horrors that respondent inflicted on them. The justices will hear oral arguments and issue a ruling in the court's next term, which starts in October and ends in June 2022.
Pedestrian death rate rose despite fewer miles driven during pandemic in 2020. Those memorable photos, captured as the coronavirus pandemic was a pending daily life, meant a drop, at least for a time, in the amount of vehicle miles being driven. Unfortunately, that didn't translate into a drop in pedestrian deaths. Instead, a preliminary data analysis released Tuesday by the Governor's Highway Safety Association shows a shocking 20% increase in the pedestrian fatality rate per billion vehicle miles traveled during the first 6 months of the year. Pedestrian deaths have skyrocketed over the past decade despite substantial safety improvements for vehicle occupants. A variety of factors are believed to be at play in the increase in pedestrian fatalities, including more large trucks and SUVs on the road as recounted by the Detroit Free Press/USA Today investigation. Death on foot. America's love of SUVs is killing pedestrians, as well as distraction, vehicle speed and alcohol use. Other issues also are noteworthy. People of color represent a disproportionate number of victims, and most fatal pedestrian crashes happen at night and away from intersections. Despite the impact of COVID-19 on daily life, including a shift to remote learning and working from home, the number of fatalities in the first half of 2020 appears to have been close to the same as the prior year, with 2,957 pedestrian deaths for the first 6 months of 2020 compared with 2,951 in 2019, according to Safety Association projections. The key figure, however, in the context of the pandemic is how that relates to the number of vehicle miles traveled, which dropped 16.5% compared with the same period in 2019. The pedestrian fatality rate of 2.2 per billion vehicle miles traveled represents a 20% increase over the 2019 rate, according to the analysis of data from state highway safety offices. Such an increase, if it holds for the full year, or does not drop much, would be troublingly notable. Fatalities tend to go up in the second half of the year, Redding noted, saying people tend to be out and about more during the warmer summer months and for holidays like Halloween and Christmas. Pedestrians accounted for about 17% of all traffic deaths in 2019, a percentage that has risen fairly consistently over the last decade. The tens of thousands of pedestrians killed in the last 10 years include men, women and children, and it highlights the dramatic toll this crisis has taken on America's most vulnerable road users. However, the numbers, all based on preliminary data, point to some improvements as well. 20 states and Washington, D.C., recorded declines in the number of pedestrian fatalities, some of which were double-digit and percentage declines, compared with the first half of 2019. Delaware and Kentucky are projected to have 3 years of declines in pedestrian deaths, while Arizona is expected to have its second year of declining fatalities. Still, 27 states reported increases in their numbers during the same period. Michigan, with 68 fatalities, had 3 more pedestrian deaths in the first half of 2020 than in the same stretch of 2019, according to the analysis. Thank you for watching. We help you stay up to date all the news hourly. Please subscribe our channel to follow up the latest one.